Welcome back to another episode of Peaches and Cream. It's your host, Peach. So today we're going to be unboxing something, but it's a pretty hefty story. So grab your snacks, grab your drinks, whatever you need to feel comfortable, and let's get right into it.
Oh, these brothers my guys, know that we fly, know that they ride or die. Why they wanna move like that? Where you want gone? Why you want act like that? Why you play hard? No rush, go and move dumb. Back and forth.
So this happened back in June of 2025, this year. It was literally a week after my son had turned a year old, a week after his birthday. His birthday on a Saturday. The following Saturday, I went out with one of my friends and was drugged at a bar. So a little bit about how I got drugged at a bar. I am a stay-at-home mom. I'm married. I don't really do too much besides take care of my kid, the household, my family, what I got to do for my part. Let's just start with the beginning of the night. It all started when my old friend, we're going to call her Stacy. She had posted on her story, and mind you, she was at my son's birthday party the weekend before. I texted her that weekend because I seen that she posted on her story, and she was like, anybody want to go to Rednecks with me? Rednecks is the bar that we had went to, and it is based out of Oklahoma City. I slid up on her story and I was like, hey, I live on the way. My husband is off work tonight. Do you mind picking me up? Like, let's have a girls' night. Let's go out and have some fun together. And Stacy was completely okay with it. She's like, yeah, girl, I got you. And so she shows up at my house. We got ready together, all types of shit. Once we get to the bar, I'm of age to drink. I will be 22 in April. And I was the only one out of both of us that was of age to drink. So whenever I went to the bar, I was going to the bar completely alone. You can't even go around that area if you're not 21 because they have a blockage. I definitely know my limits when it comes to drinking, and I know that a couple of mixed drinks, a shot, and a beer is not going to be enough to do what happened to me. I'm on my first mixed drink and I was feeling fine, and it was probably around 8 o'clock that night, and we were doing line dances. We were good. We were great. Stacy ended up letting me know, which I had already known prior to going to the bar, but she ended up letting me know that she was going to go ahead and go upstairs and do what she came to do. And Stacy's whole motive for even going to the bar that night was to fuck the DJ. Not my business. I didn't really care. I mainly just wanted to go to have some fun. Not my business. I could care less. What you do with your pussy ain't on me. So fast forward, after I had my first drink, I had actually had another friend slide up on my Snapchat story because I posted that I was going to the bar that night. And I was like, I know multiple people out here that go to this bar. I know multiple people in the OKC area. Maybe a couple of my other friends will pop out and I'll get to see them too. So this friend slides up, and we'll name her Brandy. And she's like, hey, you want me to pop out? Like, I'll come see you. I texted her back and I was like, yes, girl, of course. Like, I want to see you. Come on. So Brandy shows up and and Stacy at the time was still currently upstairs with the DJ. And so me and Brandy were, kicking it off, talking, giggling, having a little bit of a time of our lives, re-catching up. I went to go get another drink, and whenever I came back, Stacy was downstairs. I got to introduce Stacy and Brandy to each other. This is gonna be cool. Like, we got 3 of us here now tonight. Like, let's turn up. Let's have a good night. Mind you, I was still the only one of age to be able to go get drinks. So we were there for a good couple of hours at this time. I had already had both of my mixed drinks. I wasn't even really feeling tipsy, so I went to the bar and I asked for a beer. Mind you, whenever I went to the bar to ask for this beer, there was a man at the bar who had a shirt on that said like manager or whatever, and it had the bar's name on it. He offered me, he was like, hey, you want a shot? And he took a shot with me, but I was like, yeah, like, how much do I owe you? And he said nothing. So he gave me a shot for free. I didn't think nothing of it because he worked at the bar. I've always been taught, do not leave your drinks on tables. Do not walk away from your drink, and don't accept drinks from others because they can be drugged that way. Never in my life was I ever told, hey, you might want to be mindful of who you're buying your drinks from too, because they can spike your drinks. Nope, they can. I had one free shot from him after my beer, and it was about an hour and a half after I had drank my beer. I went up there to get a hurricane shot. If you're unfamiliar with a hurricane shot, it is where usually they kneel above you or they stand above you on the bar, the bartender, and they will pour the shot in your mouth, throw water on your face, and smack you. It's a pretty popular type of shot. So I went up to the bar, and mind you, I really wasn't even still feeling anything. I was maybe the slightest bit tipsy, but off of 2 mixed drinks and a beer, you're not gonna get too much out of me. I go up to the bar and I go to get my last drink, like I said, the hurricane shot. And the same bartender, the manager, after I had the hurricane shot, he was like, "Do you want another shot?" And I was like, "You know what? Screw it." I took the last shot that he gave me for free. He only gave me 2 shots the entire night. Both of them were for free. After he gave them to me, I asked him, I was like, "Hey, how much do I owe you?" And that's when he would tell me, "You don't owe me anything." Mind you, he was taking shots with me. Like whenever he would give me a shot, he would pour himself one and we would take it together. Now, I wasn't really watching him or the female that had actually gave me my beer or made me my drinks and gave me the shot. I was also, like I said before, I was never told that bartenders are people that could potentially spike your drinks as well. So within 30 minutes of me having my last hurricane shot and the last shot that he gave me for free, I signed up for a wet t-shirt contest. Yes, I am married, and yes, I signed up for a wet t-shirt contest. I don't care about anybody else's opinion on that. What me and my husband agree and disagree on behind closed doors, out of closed doors, what we decide in our relationship is our relationship, and it is not anybody else's business to judge, say, whatever. With that being said, my husband got my titties pierced like 3 years ago. We would go out to the Tahlequah River and I would be flashing my tits for beads. So I signed up for the wet t-shirt contest. Whenever I had signed up for it, the winner was going to get $500. After the wet t-shirt contest had already started, the DJ got on the mic and raised it from $500 to $1,000. So all of us girls are in the back and we're getting our t-shirts on because they provided us with like a white t-shirt to put on. And so we're all back in like this changing room area. I remember one of the girls offering nipple pasties for me. And I was like, yes, 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 yes. Mainly because I do prefer to have my nipples covered if he is not around. And I remember looking in the mirror of this changing room with all these other girls, putting them on, and I could not focus. I couldn't focus on my reflection. It was like my vision was almost vertigo, if that makes sense. It was like everything was starting to get to tunnel vision and it was like warping and waving. And I remember telling myself, this does not feel right. I'm not drunk. Like this just does not feel right. So after I get the shirt on, there was 2 girls that were back there doing the t-shirt contest with me and they asked me, "Are you okay?" And I remember telling them, "No, something is wrong. Like I don't feel okay." And so they helped me out of the changing room and onto stage where we did our session of the wet t-shirt contest. There was a little kiddie pool and there was a couple of the bartenders up there pouring buckets of water on us. And after our portion was over, I remember stepping off of the stage. Mind you, I still had like my black skirt on and my black boots, just the white t-shirt. The only thing I changed on me was my white t-shirt. I had a black tube top on prior to it, but I changed to a white tank top for the t-shirt contest. I remember stepping down off the stage and going to the back room with the other girls. I remember laying down on the back bench in that room and I didn't feel good and the girls kept asking me if I was okay and I kept telling them no and no. I remember bits and pieces. We'll get into the bits and pieces that came back after the incident had happened, but as of what I remembered that night, whenever I came home, I was not conscious. I was carried out of the bar by the same bartender who gave me free shots. That bartender was seen by both of the 2 people that I went with, Stacy and Brandy, was seen putting me in the car and kissing me on the lips and calling me babe. Mind you, anytime I drink, anytime I'm out at the bar, my phone, my wallpaper is my son. It's usually me, my son, my husband, or it's just my boy. Anytime I ever go out to the bar and my husband is not there, it doesn't even matter if I'm drinking. The number one topic that I talk about is my family. That is the one thing that I normally talk about anytime I'm not with my family or even when I am with them. So I knew that the guy at the bar knew that I was married and had kids. Mind you, I also remember telling him about my son. I remember showing him pictures of my son on his birthday because his birthday was just the weekend before. So Stacy ends up driving me home. She tried to pawn me off on Brandy because she said that I was too drunk. I also went missing in the bar for 2 hours. That was whenever I had blacked out. Nobody could find me. Brandy was the only person trying to find me, and whenever she asked Stacy where I could be, Stacy was like, "I don't know, I don't care." So she went to a bartender and was like, "Hey, who can I talk to about trying to find my friend?" It wasn't too much of an alarm for her. This is from her telling me. She said that she wasn't so alarmed and she didn't feel the need to look for me until it was a good 45 minutes that I was missing and all of my favorite line dances were coming on and I was not on the dance floor. If anyone knows me, I don't skip out on my line dances. That is not me. That is one of my favorite fucking things to do. The whole reason I go to country bars is because I love to dance. She goes and she's looking for me and she's asking bouncers. She asks the DJ. She asks the bartender. She had the DJ call my name over speaker, and I still wasn't showing up. So Brandy went over to Stacy and was like, "Hey, will you help me find her?" And so Stacy helped her for literally 10-15 minutes is what Brandy said, and then went and fucked off again. Whenever Brandy went up to another bouncer with Stacy, they asked, where could Peach be? Where could Peach be? And Stacy had the audacity to say she probably left with a man. Brandy had stopped Stacy after she had said that and told the bouncer that is never something Peach would do. She's got a man and a baby at home. She would never just leave out on them. Brandy had my phone, my vape, and my medical marijuana card. She had all of my belongings. And again, if anyone knows Peach, Peach don't go anywhere with at least not without her phone. At least not without her vape. 2 hours missing without my vape? 2 hours missing without my phone? That's not normal for me. Stacy tried to pawn me off on Brandy all night. So she was trying to get Stacy to take me home, and Stacy is a certified EMT. Stacy is also part of the National Guard. Literally told me in her car, "I'm your DD, so if you do want to get drunk, that's okay." It's kind of fucked up. So made an oath to the EMT. It doesn't matter if you're on duty or off duty. If you see somebody in a certain type of position, it is your job, your oath that you signed. You are supposed to help. You are supposed to make sure that they are okay. And you didn't do that. Instead, Stacy tried to pawn me off on Brandy, and Brandy lives in OKC. I do not. I live a good 45 minutes from OKC. Stacy also lives a good 30 minutes from me further out. So she would have already been going past my house on the way home. That's why Brandy was like, "No, I'm not taking her home. You brought her here. You can take her home too." So Stacy ends up taking me home. From what Brandy said, Stacy was screaming at me and I was unconscious. My eyes were rolling back in my head. I was all loopy. She said that Stacy was yelling at me and telling me that if I threw up in her car, she was going to beat my ass. She was going to beat my ass. If I threw up in her car, she was going to beat my ass. Brandy said I said that I did not feel good when I was placed in Stacy's car. I was placed in Stacy's car by the bartender that was giving me free shots. Also the same bartender that carried me out the bar. Also the same bartender that put me in the car and kissed me and called me babe. Brandy said that after he set me in the car, I said I do not feel good. And Brandy says that this bartender, out of his mouth, well, she wasn't drugged. And Brandy says that that just didn't ring right for her. Why would you say that? Nobody mentioned anything about being drugged. All I said was I didn't feel good. And your first comment is, well, she wasn't drugged. That right there is what told us something really fucking happened. So the next day, my husband wakes me up because Stacy had brought me home that night and told my husband that I was trying to fuck her on the way home. So my husband wakes me up and he's like, "Hey, I think you've had enough sleep. I think we need to talk." He starts telling me everything that Stacy had told him. Supposedly I was making out with the bartender. Supposedly I was flirting with guys all night. My phone started going off within 5 minutes of me being awake, and it was Brandy. Brandy was calling me and she said, "Hey, I'm coming over. We need to talk." And my husband had heard it and he's like, "What the heck?" So she got here and Brandy ends up telling me and my husband, she walks in our house and she looks me and my husband both dead in the eyes. And she says, "I am going to tell you the full truth. And I do not care if it hurts either one of you. It needs to be said." So she ends up sitting me and my husband both down. And she starts telling us about how the night was going smooth. And then she ends up telling me, she was like, "You were taken advantage of." And a huge just wave of dread and just darkness took over me. And I started crying. And I asked her, I said, "What do you mean? What do you mean I was taken advantage of last night? Like, Brandy, what do you mean?" And she ends up telling me, she's like, "Well, the guy who took you out to the car was kissing on you, called you babe. And there's just a lot of things that happened last night that I know is not you." And I was like, I told her, I was like, "Okay, well, tell me." Basically, she just re explained the whole incident where he had taken me out of the bar. And she was like, "That just doesn't seem right to me." And she then told me about how Stacy did not care about my well being, did not care about me. She told me how Stacy was trying to pawn me off on her. How Stacy was being a very horrible friend that night. So I texted Stacy about it, and she basically said, "Fuck me," and blocked me. Like, she just didn't care. She, fuck you, block you. After all of this story, I went and got tested. I did. I went to the doctor. I went and got completely check up everything because I have a lot of health issues. So what they could have given me, I didn't know if it could have done something really wrong to me. So after Stacy blocks me, instead of even just trying to talk to me, I start hearing from other people that I even live by, who we were mutual friends with, and they're telling me her side of the story. And Stacy's side of the story is Brandy wasn't even there. I was being a hoe, I guess you could say. I was being a slut. I was going crazy. I was just running around flirting with every guy, all this and all that. So Stacy was just quite literally out there lying on my name. And I have proof that all three of us were there that night. I will show the picture. I just thought that it was so crazy that she had the audacity to say that Brandy was not even there. That was proved wrong by every picture, video, and everything that I took on my phone with timestamps from that night, like up to the point where I went missing. So she was telling people that she had to take care of me and baby me and that I was a mess and I was just drunk off my ass. She was basically playing victim in a situation that she wasn't a victim in. She was quite literally turning everything around, making it something that it wasn't, making me seem like I was just some belligerent drunk. Like, that's not me. That is not me. And the second I started hearing from multiple people that she claimed that it was just me and her there that night, just me and her, like Brandy was not there whatsoever, I started posting the pictures of all three of us there. And I said, since Stacy wants to lie and say that all three of us were not there, here's proof that all three of us were there. She ends up telling me the whole story. My husband, he chills out, relaxes, and we had our day. But after the whole situation, I started getting bits and pieces of my memory back. And the way that I started getting that memory back was by listening to the same music that the bar normally plays. I've always loved country music. I wouldn't say I'm a country bumpkin, but I have always leaned more towards rock music, country music, and rap. Like, those are my three top types of music, and on top of gospel. I never really thought nothing of it. I was just playing my normal music, and a couple of the songs from the bar came on, and it put me into a complete shutdown mode. Like, I've never even seen myself act like this. But the moment that Burn It to the Ground by Nickelback came on, mind you, that is my favorite line dance, and it breaks my heart to this day. The second that song came on, I fell to the ground, could not even hold myself up. Literally just crumbled to the ground and started crying. I couldn't even get up to reach my phone to turn the song off. I was in a complete breakdown. A little bit further down the line, and I'm still listening to more music throughout the next couple of weeks after this happened. And I start remembering a few things that had happened. My skirt was ripped. My boots were taken off of me. I remember him trying to touch me in places and trying to kiss all over me. These are just glimpses of what I remember whenever I was missing. I really don't even know if I was in that back room the whole time, because Brandy said that she went back there to look for me and I was not in there. But that was the place that I remember being last in. And so after all of this happened, I got on the show Pretty and Petty. I didn't really know too many cast members. I came in with another girl and we had our audition together. We kind of clicked off the bat, but the only person I really knew that was working with or collabing with Pretty and Petty was their lash tech. And their lash tech is actually Brandy, the girl who saved my life. I'm going to put it like that. She saved my life. The lash tech is Brandy. And I had already knew the lash tech was Brandy because Brandy had told me about this TV show. Like, that's how I found out about it, was through her. And we were beefing at the beginning of me getting into this TV show. This was like 4 months after me getting drugged. So Brandy ended up bringing it up on one of our group calls that we had one time and tried to basically tell the whole cast and everybody that I was not drugged. I was just being a whore and this, and that. None of the cast or anybody knew me around the time that this had happened. So they didn't even know about the situation. After all of that happened, we texted about it, we talked about it, we got it cleared up. And she ended up, basically apologizing for trying to even lie and say that I was doing things that I wasn't doing. But after I've talked to the Oklahoma City police and talked to a lawyer and tried to do the jurisdiction and federal law way to get this taken care of, there is nothing that I can do about what happened to me at Rednecks. And the reason why is because, as much as I have a positive test for Robenol, which is a very, very well-known date rape drug, it's actually a surgical sedative. The reason I was so fucked off is because it pretty much put me in the state of when people have to get surgery. I was completely limp, numb, couldn't feel my body. I was just coming in and out, basically, is what was happening. I was in and out of it. And I'm also a redhead, so we don't take surgical sedative the way that most people take it. Our bodies react completely different to surgical sedatives. So it really, really fucked me up. After speaking to the police and trying to get a lawsuit and trying to take federal action, there was literally nothing that they could do, because even after having a positive Robenal test from the hospital, there was no proof that he did it to me. There was no proof that it was him. There was no proof, because Rednecks is an entertainment bar. So they have their entertainment license. They don't have cameras indoor. Therefore, there was no proof of nothing. Just a he said, she said hospital page that said that I would test positive for Robenal. I have not been to Rednecks since this has happened. I do want to go back, mainly because I feel like for my trauma, I feel like I'll be able to remember a few more things that could have potentially happened that night if I put myself safely back in that environment. I want to go with my husband and with some good supporting people that I feel comfortable around to do so with. But I definitely learned my lesson. I will never, ever be buying another drink from the bar without literally watching every bit of what they do to my drink. I don't care if you're the bartender. I'm going to be watching you with a spectacle at that. I'm going to be watching you, because there is no telling what would have happened to me that night if I didn't have friends. If I would have had nobody looking for me, if Brandy would not have showed up that night and it would have just been Stacy, there is no telling what would have happened to me. And Oklahoma City, Oklahoma is one of the biggest sex trafficking states. My son's birthday was the weekend before. There is literally no telling what would have actually fucking happened to me. And I praise God and I give him thanks every day for not only sending Brandy, but keeping an eye on me that night, because I could probably be dead in a ditch, sold into sex trafficking. I could be a drugged up prostitute by now. Like, there could be a lot of shit that I could have been put into had I have not been looked out for. Be grateful for having Brandy there, regardless of the beef that we had, regardless of anything, because had she not have been there, I probably would not be here to even tell the story today. And my son probably wouldn't have a mom anymore. I'm sorry, guys. I really don't mean to get down and depressing on an episode. I just felt like this would be a really good topic to talk about, because Oklahoma is a very, very, very bad state for sex trafficking. And I feel like this is something that should be spoken about more, because it happens to a lot of females in Oklahoma, and not even just females, but it happens to men too. With the rate of getting drugged and sex trafficked in Oklahoma, this is something that should be a lot higher on the discussion list. I know that I like to talk about drama on here, and I know that this podcast has many, many different reasons and many, many different things we're going to do with it. I was never told that you should watch your bartender, and I feel like everybody should be mindful. Whether they're getting drinks from friends, whether they're leaving their drinks on tables, you shouldn't be doing either one of those. However you are drinking, you should be mindful of how it's being given to you, how it's being made, because even the people that are hired and that are there to do their job have other things in mind, clearly. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode of Peaches and Cream. If you haven't already, hit that like button and go ahead and subscribe. We do weekly podcasts. They release every Friday at 6 p.m. So stay tuned for next week's episode, and y'all have a blessed weekend. Bye, everyone.